Welcome to the Department of Chemistry DCS. Today, I will give you a brief demo on the preparation of dilute acids for laboratory uses. Specifically today, we want to prepare 1 molar sulfuric acid from concentrated sulfuric acid. How to prepare 1 molar sulfuric acid from concentrated sulfuric acid. This is from scratch. You have the manufacturer product in the bottle where the acid is in a liquid form. On the bottle, you are given the molecular weight as 98.08 gram per mole. You are given the density as 1.84 gram per ml. Percentage assay under the purity is given as 98% concentrated acid. There are a lot of procedure. There are about 5 steps in achieving this. The first step will be, now we have to analyze the information that has been given. And we analyze the information. We're told percentage assay is 98%. In that case, based on the information that has been given, we will equate 98% as 98 ml of the acid in a 100 ml solution, or 980 ml of the acid in 1000 ml of the solution. Step number 1, you have to calculate the mass of the required acid. Based on the relation density is equals to mass divided by volume. Density has been given. The molecular weight or the molar mass has also been given. Then the mass of the required acid will be density times the volume, which is 1.84 gram per ml times 980 ml. And that gives 1803.2 gram in 1000 ml. That moves us to step number 2, which would be to calculate the moles of the required acid. Given the relation, moles of required acid equals to mass divided by the molar mass. The moles would be 1803.2 grams divided by 98.08 gram per mole, and that is 18.38 moles that are in 1000 ml. That moves us to step number 3. In step number 3, you will see that we have to calculate the concentration of the required acid, and which is given in the relation concentration equals to moles divided by the volume in dm cube. Substituting all the values, we will have concentration equals to 18.38 moles divided by 1 dm cube, which is 18.38 moles per dm cube, which is equals to 18.38 molar. That is the concentration of the required acid. Step number 4, we have to use all this information in our dilution equation to determine the volume of the required acid. In a dilution equation, which is C1 V1 equals to C2 V2. Other edition may give M1, V1 equals to M2, V2, but I've decided to use C in the place of M in this occasion. Initial acid concentration is equal to C1, which is 1 molar, that was given. Initial acid volume, which is equal to V1, and that is 980 ml. The concentration of the required acid, which is equal to C2, and that is 18.38, that was calculated. The volume of a required acid, then the volume of the required acid, which is equal to V2, is what we are looking for. Making the volume of the required acid V2 with the subject, we will have a C1 times a V1 divided by C2, and that is 1 molar times 980 ml divided by 18.38, which is equal to 53.31 ml. That's the volume of the required acid V2 is equal to 53.31 ml. That moves us to step number 5. Step number 5. We have to consider the purity of the acids. If 98% of the acid purity required 53.3 ml that was calculated, then 100% acid purity will require a certain volume, which we need to calculate. And that will be 100 times 53.3 divided by 98, which is equals to 54.4 ml acid required for dilution. Practically, we have to use our manufacturer's product, which is the concentrated sulfuric acid. In this dilution, 1, we have to measure 500 ml of deionized water, or what we call distilled water, into a volumetry flask. Secondly, we have to use a measuring cylinder to measure 54.4 ml of the concentrated acid into the 500 ml distilled water in the volumetry flask. Note, we have to add acid. We add acid on water, not water on acid. The reason is this: acid is more dense than water. When we put it into water, the molecules of the acid will diffuse into the water molecules, and the reaction will be normal. Should in case the water, which is less dense than acid, was added by under the acid, water is less dense and it will flow on the acid, and that will establish a layer. And then between this layer, there could be a reaction that can result in explosion and causing the acid to splash on your body, and which is hazardous. Then, in the course of adding the acid, we keep on swirling it to ensure a uniform mixture. By doing this, we have to fill up the 100 ml. We have to fill up the volumetry flask up to 1000 ml mark. By doing this, we have 1 molar solution acid from the concentrated acid. Practically, you are going to see how it goes. A lot of precaution must be taken in this. Regarding safety, as I said, do not add water. Do not add water on the acid. But instead we add acid on the water. Then you have to put your safety goggles, put gloves for preventive measures. Then, the last thing would be, should in case the acid was solid, could be powder or tablets, what we need to do is to consider the molecular weight of the acid, which is 98.08 gram per mole. In this case, we need to weigh 98.08 gram per mole on a balance. Dissolve this in about 500 ml distilled water and make up to the mark. Thank you. Thank you. Look the practicals as it goes.